We are the Girls Who Gab.
I'm Cassie.
And I'm Bayley.
And today's episode, we are catching up and that answers that.
That's
catching you up on where we've been.
Everything. It's been a lot.
Yeah.
So there's that.
We've both been gone for a couple months from the podcast.
Yes.
And then Bayley was also gone since, when did you stop? Like January?
January.
Right before Isaiah was born?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So we've got lots to talk about.
I know. Oh my gosh, I'm excited.
We also attempted to film this a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
We got basically to this point and then had to stop.
I think we didn't even get past our pour one out and cheers to that.
We were in the middle of it.
Zero catch up.
Yeah,
so.
We couldn't. So it's a different experience having two of the children in the room.
A topic. A bullet on the list today because it needs to be discussed.
Yep.
Mom of two. So what are you drinking?
Water.
Out
of my cup.
I know, we're not drinking any. I work later, and then you'll have to drive all the way home. So, no alcohol. So, water, and then I'm drinking a strawberry acai from Starbucks that lovely Cassie brought me.
Mm-hmm. Yummy.
You want to go first with your pour, your cheers?
I'll do a pour one out. And this week, my pour one out is that, one of the things that we'll talk about later in the episode is that I did go back to work part-time. Mm-hmm. So we'll talk more in detail about that. But my pour one out for this week is that they just announced that, yet again, we have to wear masks all the time instead of up until this coming week.
In the county that she is in.
Right.
Not in every county.
Right. Mm-hmm. So up until this week, we were able to take our masks off if we were in our own office by ourselves. And then, if we were in the hallway or whatever, which I don't really do all that much, then you would need to wear a mask. And so I could at least have it off for the majority of the day. Mm-hmm. So now I have to wear it all the time.
Yeah.
And we're going up to 3 days a week instead of 2 days a week. So it's just I'm not going to be able to breathe.
It's like you're making progress, but then you're not.
Yeah.
Yeah,
so that is my pour one out this week.
Oh, man. Okay, my pour one out is also a little bit of work related, which will, same as you, it'll be a little point that I talk about a little later. But there has been a lot of tip changes, so that's been very interesting. I work a lot of banquets, and I'm one of the captains there, so banquets used to be, especially during holiday season, you wanted to work banquets. You wanted to have that big event and just...
That's where you make the money.
Just exactly, especially during the holiday time. And before, though, the tip out percentage was we would tip out the bar. Obviously, they make our drinks. And a majority of the time, we would run our own food because it was prepped out at the back, which we don't have an expediter in the back because that's not our normal kitchen. It was just what they did for an event of 40 on also a busy night in the restaurant.
Gotcha.
So we would really only tip out the bartender, which was 5%, 10% sometimes.
So it's less percentage out plus...
And you're making more money.
You're making more money.
So it was the place you wanted to be.
Yeah.
And, our tip out has changed pretty dramatically to where we now tip out the hosts. We now tip out the back of the house. And then obviously the bar. And with new pandemic times, we do not have enough kitchen staff, to do separate banquet parties, food from the back. And so it's just, it gets thrown in the main kitchen with all the other floor. So we do tip out an expo. So our 5% is now a 26% tip out, and it's just a dramatic change.
Yeah.
And so that's something that we've been fighting, and so that's my pour one out, because because we've been so busy in getting back in the groove of things. We're getting more banquets, and now it's the place that I don't want to be. Mm-hmm. And it's upsetting because I am a captain, so I'm always on every single event.
Yeah.
So it's a little sad, but yeah.
Are you guys also still understaffed, or are you guys pretty staffed now?
Server-wise and host-wise, we're pretty much caught up. They just did a really big hiring, and they did good. They did good on the hiring. Back at the house, though, we're pretty slim pickings still. They keep hiring people, but then they keep, just...
They'll leave.
Being gone. And because times are so desperate right now with wanting to hire people, they'll hire any and everybody, especially back at the house,
So it's not necessarily
great employees.
Right. Time-wise, they maybe don't know what they're doing to keep up.
They're youngins, for sure.
Which is fine. You got to start somewhere. But it just sucks when you don't have a mix of, the experienced to help with the training process, too, and get you ready, the newbie, ready to really go.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
In any position, but I know the service industry is really suffering with hiring right now.
I know, it's bad.
Yeah.
Like, really, really bad. The demand is so crazy, but then no one wants to, and then people do, but then they only do it to still get unemployment, and it's like there's this whole catch.
So then, like, you have a lot of employees, but they're only working a couple days a week.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Which
Gotcha.
is not what we need.
Yeah.
So, yep.
Yep.
I'm drinking on a pour one out, but here we go.
Cheers to that.
Go.
Okay, so my cheers to that also has to do with an update. So we're just spoiling things.
That's okay. We have limited time anyways.
Yeah.
This is great.
Yeah. I'm pregnant. Yay! So I'm 11 weeks, and yesterday I found the heartbeat on the little Doppler that I bought myself, even though you're not supposed to use it until at least another week from now, but I'm impatient.
Why? Who cares about that?
Well, it's for your own, like, mental health. They don't recommend you do it before you know that you can find it, because, like, you can find it. Obviously, I found the heartbeat, but sometimes you can't, and then people will freak out and think that there's no heartbeat.
Right.
So it's more of, like, that thing, rather than saying, like, oh, it's not safe. It's fine, but, like...
No, I knew what you meant. You just,
But I found it, so it's all good.
So she is pregnant with not twins. Yeah.
Yeah. So I've had an ultrasound. There's only one in there.
Yep.
And that's good, because I was very kind of worried.
No. So that kind of has to pull from my cheers to that, because my cheers to that is that Kassie recorded everyone and their reactions and, like, how her telling people went.
I'll post in the cards. You'll be able to
the little link.
Yeah,
oh, it's so stinking cute and really emotional. And so she sent it late last night, but I was already... I mean, actually, I think I was at work when I got it, but then just my drive home, and then I get home and I'm knocked out super late. So I woke up this morning, and I knew I was going to watch it, and I woke up early. Isaiah's, like, chilling. My husband's asleep next to me. Amelia's hasn't even walked in our bedroom yet, and I'm just, like, watching the video and, like, immediately, like, just start crying. I'm just like, great, this is happening. And it didn't even get to, like, the videos of people's reaction yet.
Because the video is not that long. It's only like 5 minutes-ish. And the first, like, third of it is kind of me going through, like, the fact that it took 8 months.
Finding out, and then the miscarriage, and then,
So it kind of gives all of that, and then I move into, like, the videos of people finding out. So
so that it's weird, because, like, my cheers to that is that I woke up sobbing my eyes out. So there's that. I'm so upset because I'm also the first video, and I'm ugly crying because I'm really sick. I also don't remember me eating, but I'm, like, just eating a bowl of soup while I look like shit, and I then start ugly crying, and it's fine. And my hideous voice. And then Andre wakes up. He, like, hears, because he hears my voice, obviously. He's like, what is that, all groggy? Like, what is that? I want to watch. And then we're watching it again. And anyways.
Oh, my God.
But I loved it. I was super happy.
Yeah,
it got
cute.
me all
I originally was going to do, like, all of the videos in chronological order. And the only one that I moved out of chronological is Sierra, because... like, having both of yours and Sierra's at the start of all of the friends, and then it ending kind of more, like, neutral, I guess. I was like, no, better emotional effect. Let me just...
I follow that. Because her and I are the only ones that cried.
Yeah, in the videos.
In the videos.
Yeah. There's a couple other people, like I said. In the video, I also have, like, a little text saying there's other stories that aren't recorded, or that, for some reason, it didn't record. So there are some good stories in there, but, you two are the only ones that cried. Which made me cry.
Yeah.
So I only cry in those 2 videos as well.
Emotions bringing out emotions.
Oh, God, yes. Dang. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's the truth.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
Well, let's get into the episode and go further into all of the things.
Yeah. Well, okay. So let's start with then you're pregnant. I mean, so people, if you've been watching and keeping up with all of our episodes, the most previous episode of this, it was Kassie and then a guest appearance of Chelsea. They were talking about, like, miscarriages I guess not miscarriages technically. They were talking about infertility and a process to getting pregnant. Yeah. So obviously everyone knows your story, but, like, how is it now? Like, experiencing it and officially being pregnant and getting past the milestone for you.
Yeah, it's really weird. I'm It feels like I'm still playing pretend
to say
a
the
little
least.
bit.
Okay.
Yeah. So like I feel kind of detached almost. Like I think I was, even though I was excited from the very beginning, like, and it was really bizarre. Like initially when I find out I'm pregnant, initially it like I already felt that this was going to be different. Mm-hmm. Like I don't know why I knew that, but it felt different. And who knows, maybe that's just like the emotional like want for it to be different, right? And so like I go like back and forth between like so many points throughout these, okay, so I'm 11 weeks. So many points throughout these 11 weeks I've been like, I'm not worried at all that like something will go wrong this time, even though I haven't hit like the official safety zone or whatever.
The second trimester, right?
Yeah, so like part of me is very much confident and like not at all worried. Like there were times when I accidentally posted like Matt in his Dadalorian shirt, and you were worried because like obviously if you spill the beans too early there's like concern or whatever, but even at that point I was like, it's fine. Like I am really confident that nothing is going to be wrong. We hadn't had an ultrasound at that point yet,
right?
But it was coming up. And I also knew that even if something did go wrong, like I was going to share about it anyways. So like there was partially that and partially both. Mm-hmm. Like all of these very mixed brain things.
Yeah.
And so yeah, it's obviously really exciting. It's obviously really exciting, but I also like in full and complete honesty am feeling really almost it's just so unreal. Like
I think especially with what you, and I can't even, like, I definitely get the detached feeling because I felt that with my first pregnancy because it was so unexpected, right? Mm-hmm. But I think for you it's a complete, I can't even say that I understand because it's a completely different feeling with what you went through leading up to this pregnancy.
Because it almost feels a little bit like it's definitely like a protection, like a guard.
For your emotions. Yeah, absolutely.
So I think that is part of why it feels like that.
Yeah.
And then, like, I know it's also really normal. Like, I talked to Bailey and Sierra about, like, when does it feel real? And both of you guys were like, when the baby kicks you, which is not for a while.
Literally, yeah, not for a while at all.
So, I know that part of it is very normal on top of the fact that, like, for sure I know that there has to be some sort of, like, emotional guard up. Because, like, as emotional as I have been about different things that have happened, it's been in different things than I would have expected me to be emotional about. Like, I thought that I would get really emotional seeing the ultrasound and, like, knowing that the heartbeat was... We didn't get to hear the heartbeat at the first ultrasound, but we could see it flickering.
Right.
Like, we could see that the baby was moving a little... Like, I mean, it's not, like, moving and kicking yet, but it's, like...
right.
It's all stark, like, movements. It's like, we know that it's alive, like, and everything. And the doctor also explained that, like, with the strength of the heartbeat and everything, like, it's really unlikely that anything would go wrong at this point, at that 8-week appointment. The only thing that we still don't know yet is we are doing genetic tests, so, like, I guess something could be really wrong.
Absolutely.
But, like, barring that, everything is working fine. So, like, I really expected to, like, have this really emotional, like, overwhelming thing that's a pretty common experience at that first ultrasound. That didn't happen.
Yeah.
And then same thing with, like, hearing the heartbeat yesterday. I was expecting to, like, have this, like, similar to the overwhelming experience I had seeing the positive test, that first test.
Yeah.
Because that was overwhelming.
Which is, right.
And you can see it in the video if you watch it. Mm-hmm. I expected a similar thing, but it was exciting, but it was just different. Like, I don't even know really how to put into words, like, what I'm feeling. It's just very weird. Right, it's very weird, very, very unreal. Like, surreal doesn't even feel like the exact right. I feel like I'm playing pretend.
Yeah.
Like, I don't feel like I'm living my life
like you're just
right
dressing
now.
up right now, and
exactly.
yeah.
Like, I'm acting. I'm in a movie. I don't know what's happening.
Oh.
It's not my real life. Like, that's how it feels.
I'm so curious to when this is going to start feeling real to you. Because, like I said, I had that similar feeling for different reasons. Just because it was not planned whatsoever.
Right.
I was with a guy. I mean, thankfully now he's my husband and the father of my second kid. But, like, I was with the guy at the time for only 3 months, and then we're pregnant, and then just so much is going through my head. But literally, I think I told you guys in group when you were asking, like, when does this feel real? And both of us are just like, till like a lot later. But for me, it was like having the baby shower and like feeling all the love around me, and then getting home and having all the love and crap in my house.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? It's just, that's when I was like, holy crap, my life is like taken over now. You know what I mean?
Right. Well, and especially in your situation, I feel like there was like that. You had to kind of come to terms with the fact of that your life is very different.
It's going to change
all of
dramatically.
Sudden, yeah, and you weren't like thinking it would be changing anytime soon.
Right. Especially at the age, I mean, I was 22. Well, when I found out, I was 22. So, no, I think you were 21 when I found out, because I had her at 22. So, yeah, very different. Not that I was so much like a crazy partier. Like, I didn't go out too much. Like, I didn't do crazy stuff like that. So, like,
it's just like not expecting to be a mom yet.
Yep.
And like, I don't know, it's so bizarre because like obviously we've been working at this for so long, and like I've also wanted to be a mom since before we were actually trying.
Yeah.
But then at the same time, it's like still that same feeling of like, holy shit,
is this
my life is about to change.
I know, it really is.
Like, what the hell? That's basically, for now, all that I have to say, I guess. I don't know.
And then each episode I'll just ask for like
more
monthly updates.
Yeah, I do want to do, we'll do an episode in the near future on the first trimester, I think.
Yes.
So that'll be around.
But there will be then a lot of like baby mom. Gosh, maybe this is what this podcast will turn into.
Will be. I mean,
because there's also going to be an episode of Isaiah's labor and delivery, and then there'll be one obviously about how you got through your first trimester and all that jazz, and then being just moms and everything.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I have one story before we move on from other things, and it's about how Matt told my dad that I was pregnant.
Yes.
Okay, so I had a plan to tell my dad on 4th of July weekend. Bailey made us a very cute sign. Hashtag go look at her Instagram, because she has like a little business. Perfect segue. Yeah, so she started this little business of signs, making signs.
Like wood pieces, calligraphy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So I asked Bailey to make me a sign for my dad that says, oh God, only the best dads get promoted to grandpa. And then it has like little clips so that you can put pictures on there. In theory, I would have an ultrasound picture at that point, which I did.
Yes. You were prepared.
Yeah, and so that was the plan, to tell him. And then,
dun, dun, dun,
so like a week after we found out I was pregnant, my dad calls me or texted us or whatever, asking, he has the day off, can he come meet us for lunch in our area? And so we obviously both had to work, so we were like, yeah, that's great. My work is like very specific. I have to clock out at this time and I have to clock in at this time. It's an hour. And so we go to lunch like 5 minutes away. And before we leave, I'm like, Matt, we're not telling him because Lisa, my stepmom, is not there because she had to work. Mm-hmm. And I want to tell them together, so we're keeping our mouths shut, like, say nothing. And he was like, Cassie, you're the one that can't keep your mouth shut. Shouldn't you be telling yourself this? And I was like, well, maybe I'm saying it out loud for me.
The both of us,
we're not, I'm directly explaining we're not telling him today.
Okay.
Great. We go to lunch.
They drove separate, by the way, because of your clock-in time, right?
No, we drove together. Oh. We drove together, and then my dad met us. For those of you watching, we have a baby joining us.
We have an addition.
Yeah. This is Isaiah.
He just woke up. We're going to see how long he will be content. He usually is after his nap, so this will be good.
So if you hear any noises...
Cooing.
Yep, it's the baby.
Yep.
But you can't have this.
Yeah, no, don't touch that.
Okay, so, yes.
So you didn't drive step, right? Okay, so I don't remember that. But okay, so you went to lunch.
There's a purpose for pointing this out.
Okay.
We go to lunch, we drive together. Dad met us. We have the whole meal, everything is fine, hunky-dory, no statements. Okay. I end up having to leave because my work is very specific, so I take Matt's keys and car and drive home.
That's where got it.
And so then my dad is going to drive Matt home. And again, it's like a 5-minute drive. So I go home. And we had invited my dad, like, you're more than welcome to come up and hang out for a little bit. Usually that part of my work day is also, like, not very busy. So even though I need to work, like, I can kind of chit-chat at the same time.
Right.
So I get home and, like, clock in and everything. About 10 minutes pass. And then Matt we have like a call box at the front, so he calls me to let himself in.
Right.
And I ask him, is Dad with you? Yes. Okay, so I run around the apartment to make sure there's no, like, what to expect when you're expecting or anything out. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
No pregnancy tests. Like,
yeah.
Make sure that nothing is going to spill the beans on accident. So I run around, everything's fine. I open the door, and Matt is looking at me. He's got this, like, weird look on his face. And I'm like, what? And then I turn around, not thinking anything really of it, and, like, whatever. And turn back around, and then they're both inside the house, and they're both looking at me with the same, like glare. Scared face. I don't know. I can't even explain what the look on their faces was, but it was like someone died, or like, I don't know how to tell you this. Like, that's what it was. And then my dad just looks at me, and he's like, he fucked up. And he points, like, right next Matt.
That's exactly your dad. I could totally see him doing that.
Yeah, so Matt and my dad are, like, standing, you know, facing me next to each other, and Dad just, like, points his finger really closely to Matt, saying he fucked up. And so I'm like, I just stared at Matt, and Matt, for those of you watching, you can see the expression. Matt just looks like there's complete fear in his eyes, like he's gonna be killed
dead
right now.
I'm gonna be the one who's gonna be dead.
Yeah. And so then I'm like, oh, are you serious? And Matt's like, I told him. And I'm like, what? So then I spend the next, like, 10 minutes just, like, being mad.
Yeah.
Like, I was joking for the most part, but I was annoyed.
Because you had the whole plan of recording, and it's your dad.
Uh-huh.
And, like, his first grandbaby.
Yeah, I wasn't there. And on top of all of that, Matt was like, why are you telling me this? And then he's the one that did it.
He's the one that did it.
So, yeah. So then I spent, like, the next 10 minutes just, like, kind of flipping out, but, like, in a joking way, which is funny to me now because, like, my dad just found out he's expecting his first grandkid, and I'm, like, not able to take any of his experience.
Yeah.
I'm just upset at Matt. So, yeah, so 10 minutes passed, blah, 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 and then Matt, like, I mean, my dad obviously does at some point say congratulations, whatever, all that stuff.
Hugs, yeah.
And then he's like, you need to call Lisa, which is my stepmom, because I can't not tell her, and you should be the one to tell her. So then we FaceTime her, and, like, I don't think she saw it coming, but it was pretty, like, looking back, I'm like, how did you not see something coming? Because I was like, make sure, like, FaceTime me, and then the FaceTime wasn't working, so I was like, go in a different room, like, you need to get the FaceTime to work. So, like, clearly I, like, needed
I mean,
FaceTime.
kind of the way, like, when I told you I was pregnant with Isaiah, like, we FaceTime all the time,
Mm-hmm.
but I was just, it was, like, what, 8 o'clock at 7 o'clock at night, and I was like, hi, FaceTime me.
Yeah, and that night, too, I had already told you, like, oh, I was volunteer interpreting for the first time ever.
Yes,
and you had, like, decided that you needed to FaceTime me basically during it, and I was like, okay, I'm not done yet, so hold on. And then there was, like, technology issues and all of this
and
stuff.
We actually went to Zoom also.
Yeah,
so same
like
exact thing.
Yeah,
I was like, you need to see me.
Yeah, I was like, there's something going on. So,
yeah,
similar experience, but I don't think Lisa ended up figuring it out until afterwards. So, whatever. So, anyways, I told her, and I called my brother also, who lives with them.
Yeah.
And told him, and, like, everything worked out fine, but I don't have any of that footage that I really wanted to get. So I was, like, disappointed, but also it does make sense, and it all works out because, like, my dad and Lisa don't really love being on camera. They don't really understand the whole YouTube thing. So, like, they at this point, you know, respect that it's my hobby, but love that I don't try to engage it with them.
Plus, I feel like if you did record it, you would have had to be very sly about it, and if you weren't, like, not that you would have gotten fake reactions, but it would have been set for sure. You know what I mean?
Yeah, the plan, if I had been able to do it, the plan had been to do similar to what I did with my mom and Grandma and Alicia, which is where I told them we were taking a picture. And then it was going to be actually recording so that they wouldn't figure it out.
Right.
And that they knew they needed to be looking at the camera.
Right,
so they expected a camera to be out.
Mm-hmm.
But anyways, so that's the funny story, one of them.
At least you're laughing about it.
Oh, yeah, I think it's funny now. Matt knows that he's never going to live it down. Like, I told that story on 4th of July weekend. We also told all of the neighborhood friends.
Right.
And as they find out, they're like, how did you tell your dad? And I'm like, oh, funny story.
I'm so glad you asked, actually.
Yeah. So Matt knows, like, that story's going to get told at this baby's wedding, I'm sure.
It's for sure
like,
going to happen.
all that. So,
yeah, absolutely.
Good stuff.
I like that. Mm-hmm. Well, we'll just kind of roll into this parenting thing of a life of mom of 2.
Yeah.
Because that's how it's going for me. And, you know what? It's actually not going bad at all. I've had, you know, I've had some hiccups and, like, some struggles personally with, like, a little bit of, like, I guess you could say postpartum depression in a sense. I just really struggled with, like, I'll tie both of these together. Like, going back to work and not wanting, and I officially don't want to work anymore. Like, now. Like, I've always known I wanted to be a stay-at-home mom. But now that I am a parent of 2, it just is 100 times different leaving my kids with, I mean, I live with my mother-in-law. She lives with us. So leaving my kids even with her, someone that I 100% trust, and I don't feel weird in that sense. I just feel weird myself and, like, guilty leaving 2 kids and not only 1. Like, when I had Amelia, I was still very motivated in my job. I mean, I was managing at the time. I've obviously demoted myself to server now after some time passed, and I decided that just wasn't what I wanted, especially if both of us are managing.
Yeah.
But, like, leaving her, yes, it was hard, but I still was, like, driven at work and wanted to be there.
Yeah.
And it's just changed. I love what I do. I love serving. I love all of that. And I go there and I'm not in, like, a pissed off mood or anything. Like, I still enjoy it, but I've, like, decided, like, I'll stop whenever I financially can and able to, because I don't want to.
At this point, it's only money that's really
stopping me
you
from not leaving.
Yeah, exactly. Driving you to continue working.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, it's been interesting. I think a big part of it too is because, like, Amelia is an amazing big sister. She, like, just shocks me, and I'm just, like, in awe of watching her just, like, connect with him. And so it's so cute because she's so good. She's so loving. She's just, like, she's obsessed. And that, to me, like, just watching it, I don't want to miss anything. Like, as much as I don't want to miss him, like, saying his first word or, like, his first step, I don't want to miss her reaction either to all of his first as well. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
like,
it's like double the missing out.
Double the missing out. So that is the gist of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but just, like, going back to the main bullet point, like, just being a mom of 2 is really amazing. And it's, like, I absolutely love it. And I was made to be a mom. So it's pretty great. It's grand.
Yeah. I'm glad, too, that, like, you haven't experienced, I know a lot of times that transition from 1 to 2 for the child that's the first can be really hard. But it seems like she's just, like,
she's thriving.
Completely happy with it.
Yeah, she's so content. She just interrupted. She just came in because she was like, I want to see Isaiah. Like, you know what I mean? Like, she's all about him, and it's so great.
Yeah.
So, yeah. I did. And you're a newborn, so you sleep, so she gets her time, and you know what I mean? So it's not bad.
Yeah. Still a nice, like, balance.
Yeah, exactly. What about your baby moon that you're trying to plan?
Oh, baby moon. Okay, so interesting. I go back and, well, okay. There's, like, the financial aspect of it and, like, the mix of also planning for being off work, too. So, okay, so one of the things that I have, I have, what's it called? Sick time, vacation leave, all of that stuff, right? And when you go on leave, you have to take all of that regardless. And so, like, sick time, I'm allowed to use for doctor's appointments, etc. So, like, I'm using it all the time.
Right.
But vacation leave, I mean, I do take time off pretty regularly, like, one day here and there.
Right.
Like, we're planning on going to Sierra's baby shower, so I took a day off there.
Right.
So, like, I am using it here and there, but I do accumulate enough that, like, I have... Right now, I have almost 5 days, and, like, I'm still going to accumulate up until the end of the year.
Right.
So, like, I'm, like, going back and forth on, like, should I save it so that when I go on leave, then I have that nice
extra
little...
time.
Yeah, that, like, nice little... It's not extra time, but it's extra cash.
That's true.
So, like...
More important, the cash.
Right, so it's a nice buffer of, like, okay, I know that I have this money coming all along with the supplement that you get from... whatever it's called, just, like, state disability and stuff.
Right.
But that's not, like, a full paycheck. It's, you know, a percentage of however much you make.
Right.
So, like, okay, financially I could save it so that I know I have everything. But we also have a savings and stuff. Like, we're financially stable to do what we need, whichever. So then I'm like, I mean, I could just take some time off and go on a baby moon. I don't know.
Just throwing it out there.
And so, like, I'm trying to plan it, and it's weird because planning a baby moon is most of the things me and Matt like to do together is very alcohol-centered.
Mm-hmm, true.
Whether that's like, oh, let's do a more of a staycation where you're maybe at a resort, but, like, you're pretty much hanging by the pool and just drinking.
Right. Don't have to get on a plane and travel and all that jazz.
And so, like, that's probably where we're kind of
leaning towards
heading, but, like, I know because I can't drink, I'm also like, well, maybe this would be a good type of vacation to take where we also make sure to plan to go to the zoo or an aquarium.
Like, do
or
other things with it besides just
something.
Sitting in the room or pool.
Right, exactly. Okay. Because it's like, not that I don't love to just hang out by the pool and do that, but, like, we could mix around and do some other stuff. And, like, we're not going to do anything too touristy because I'm also worried about, like, okay, I don't want to have to be walking around too much because I'm doing it later and towards that right at the beginning of the third trimester / end of second. So, like, I should be fine, assuming I am having a comfortable pregnancy, but who hell the whole hell knows? I don't know.
Right.
So it's like, that is all part of it, too. I'm like, I don't know, am I going to want to go to the zoo? Like, I don't know. I have no idea.
We also got to think about the times. Like, you're due February, the very, very beginning. So, like, your baby... Well, I mean, you're doing something close by. So, at least you don't have to worry about, okay, can't go on a plane somewhere.
Right, so I know we're not going on a plane.
Drivable. Definitely a month before.
I'm thinking we probably will go in October.
The month. Okay,
so,
cool.
like,
so then
it'll
you
be
have
early
plenty
enough.
Of time.
Yeah. So, like, as long as I'm having... I purposely was planning it for that because, again, I don't know what kind of pregnancy I'll have. So I don't want it to go too late and end up being the type of pregnant person who's really, really miserable in her third trimester.
And the second trimester is...
usually
between
the
two,
best one.
Usually the best one.
Right. So, like, that was kind of why I planned it, why I'm hoping to plan it that way. Yeah. So, I don't know. It's just, like, there's too many pieces that you don't normally have to think about.
Yeah.
Like...
Yeah.
What the heck? So, it's an interesting experience because the normal way I would plan a vacation is very different than this time around.
Yeah. Well, welcome to that. It only starts here because
I know, exactly.
Once you have the kid, it's then like, well, shoot. Do I get a babysitter? Do we go somewhere where we can bring the kids? What do we bring one kid now that we're this is a thought one?
Two.
Like, for example, we're gonna go to the baby shower for Sierra, and a part of me was like, okay, definitely don't want to bring the kids, plural. Do I want to bring Amelia? And then LOL, my mom talked me out of it. She's like, no, go have a good time. And I was like, great idea, Mom. And that's what I'm doing. I'm now not bringing both kids, but it's like definitely a thought. You're just like, I don't know what to do.
Yeah.
Vacationing is just a whole different
thing
now. Yeah.
Right. I mean, and it's like the decision too of like, are you gonna miss them?
Yeah.
So then, like, do you even want to go without them or all that?
Yeah. No, I'm a big believer in, like, you need your time, and I definitely like I miss my kids, but I don't feel bad. You know what I mean? Yeah. No,
I agree. I agree with that.
Just, not everyone in the world believes that, and they give you shit for leaving your kids, but it is what it is.
Yeah, like my mom and Roger, my stepdad, who they were married, now they're not. When they were married, they used to take a vacation with us and a vacation just the two of them every year.
I like that. It's a good happy medium.
Right. And everyone. So usually they did like some sort of road trip to something obviously kid friendly. Like we did a lot of national parks and things like that.
I
like seeing the stuff.
Andre, if you are listening to this, we should definitely do that. I like that. National parks and like forests and like camping with the kids.
See, we didn't do camping. We did hotels, but that's fine.
You're right. Let me rephrase this. Like wildernessy things with the kids.
And seeing those sites that like later in life you maybe you end up having to make more decisions on, like, well, do you want to do that or do you want to have, I don't know. So it's so then at least you got to do those things. Right. Plus you never know, climate change, LOL.
Yeah,
you might not get to see them later.
That's accurate.
So so we would do those, and then they would go to like a resort, all inclusive, and it was a very like alcohol-y focused one for themselves.
Right.
Which is cool.
Yeah. No.
Yeah.
I agree.
So that's how the baby movie is.
I can't wait to hear where you go.
What's next for you?
Well, I'll kind of like go off of that theme. So like trips. We are planning our anniversary trip, and so I'm super excited. So it'll be our 3rd year anniversary.
Yes.
Sure.
You got married in 2019.
What? No. Yeah.
19. 20.
22.
21,
Okay, got it.
22.
Yeah, I'm a little behind here. Because the pandemic, that's right. Pandemic year was the first year of our anniversary. Andre and I are very, like, we'd love to go out on, like, big occasions, even on small occasions, actually. We just love going out. It's, like, so us. So for our first year anniversary, just to stay in was kind of very sucky, to say the least. So this past year, we went out to lunch, and it was, later lunch, early dinner, and it was very nice at a restaurant. So this next year, we're planning on taking a trip, like a real trip, to Cancun, and we're, like, super excited for it. And at first, we were, like, back and forth, but officially we decided we're going to go. So we're going to go on an actual anniversary, and I think we'll probably be there for, I think we decided 4 days. So it'll be, like, 2 days. 2 of the days will fall on our days off. And then, so for me, I'm not so worried about asking the time off. And it's just so easy for me. And it'll be during the week, a Tuesday and a Wednesday, which is easy peasy. And then for him, that way he only has to request off for 2 days. Yeah. So, yeah, I'm really excited for that. It's going to be loads of fun. And that's all I have to say.
How far is Cancun from here? Like, how far is the drive?
So,
I mean, flight.
No.
I meant flights.
I think, I'm trying to remember our wedding date. So we left at 6.
Oh, yeah, that is where you went.
Yeah, we're actually doing the same resort.
Oh, cool.
Unless obviously no purchases have been made yet.
Yeah.
So unless we find something that we really like, something else, then we will do that. But I think that's a newer resort, and we know that resort. So, like after pandemic times, I think we just feel comfortable going there.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just how our process is right now in our head. But I think it's like about 8 hours, 7, 8.
Gotcha.
Yeah, not too bad. And we didn't have a layover the first time. I don't think this one will either, so we'll see what happens.
Nice.
But that's it. So, yeah.
Fine.
That's fine.
The last, like, trip or whatever topic I have is I was supposed to go to Disneyland, but I didn't go to Disneyland. So so the pandemic happened, obviously. And Disneyland closed for the first time ever, except for 9/11.
Yeah.
So it had only ever closed for 1 day before, and then during this time, it was closed for months. I mean, I don't remember how many, but months. So then they reopened, and they had
a year.
Was it a whole year?
I think it reached a whole year, actually, because they opened up the end of April, and they closed down March.
At the very end of March?
31st or something like that? Yeah, okay, sorry. Anyways.
So, yes. So they opened back up. At the time, they had a whole lot of restrictions. They had a very low capacity. Obviously, masks were required, all of this stuff. You went early, and so you told me that the experience was pretty cool because there's obviously not a lot of people there. So it's just like, you're going on rides. It's like the only experience you're ever going to have of that at Disney.
Definitely once in a lifetime. And that opportunity is already gone.
Yeah, so we decided to buy tickets, and I don't remember why we couldn't do it earlier than what we ended up picking, but we were going to go on July 3rd. And I don't remember what happened. I think it was because we wanted to go to both parks, and we were confused on what the rules were on the website, and so we actually messed up and didn't know that we did it wrong. Or we could have picked an earlier date, but we didn't know that. So anyways, we picked July 3rd, and then slowly as those months passed, the restrictions got a lot less, which was fine. We were still comfortable going, but, like, it didn't seem worth it anymore to go because it's also hot in July. So, like, there's negatives and cons of that. Plus, I had found out I was pregnant, which was more of, like, if we're going to go when I'm pregnant, I don't want to also be hot. Like, I'd rather go...
For sure. You're already a hot person.
Actually, I'm normally a cold person, but not these days. So... I didn't want to be, like, hot and uncomfortable and also not be able to go on the rides that I like. You know? Like, I'd rather be able to go during the holiday when I love it and be able to experience something that I really love anyways, and then it won't matter as much that I can't go on some rides.
Right.
So in my head, that was my process.
Right.
So we ended up canceling the plan, to go to Disneyland July 3rd, and we still have tickets. We have to use them by the end of the year, and so we're holding off until same around the time that we'll go on our baby moon. We'll go in October sometime.
Kind of that plan. Okay, got it.
And so I told Matt, like, he can kind of pick. His birthday is November 10th, so I was like, we could hold it off and go on your birthday, or go for your birthday weekend, or we can go in October. Really, it's up to you, because do you want to see the Christmas stuff, which happens in November, or do you want to see the Halloween stuff, which is October?
Yeah.
As of right now, he has said, I want to see the Halloween stuff, which is weird because he normally picks Christmas, but maybe it's because he normally picks Christmas. I don't know.
Yeah.
But whatever. So now we're planning on going then, but it was just disappointing to, like, know that we missed out on that.
Well, but remember, my second trip, it was extremely
not fun,
crappy and not fun. My first trip, though, was at California and only California. And then my second trip was at Disneyland and only Disneyland. Yeah. So I think that in itself already makes a huge difference. But, yeah, it was not fun at all. So,
yeah, and I know that, like, a lot of their weird rules and stuff, like, you have to call ahead or, like, order ahead for your food, so you have to decide, and
then
all
there's
this
two
stuff.
Rides. You have to wait in the queue for the 2 rides, just like the whole ticket process was.
Right. So I'm interested to see what those rules will look like in October, and what will change, if anything will change. Will it get worse? Will it get better?
Same?
I don't know.
Yeah.
So we'll see. I'm interested.
Definitely going to be up in there.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely intrigued to see how that's going to go for you. Okay, what else is on my list there? I'll do this one quick. Work opening up fully has been fan-freaking-tastic, because this is, I work in a fine dining restaurant, right? So it's great in itself. Like, there's no explanation really for that. But with that being said, summertime is usually the slowest time for, everyone, unless, work by the beach. But, like, every restaurant, for the most part, pretty slow and mellow during the summer. But it is just extremely slow for us. And this year, it's the exact opposite.
Yeah,
we're so busy because everyone wants to be out.
Yeah.
No one is, like, taking anything for granted. So, like, they're just, everyone and their mom.
And they were just holed up for over a year at home. So they're like, let's go.
And, I mean, for those that have lost, loved ones, they just, like, really are, like, want to take in any moment that they can. So, like, so many large parties and so many families. Like, it's just so many kids. It's been fantastic. I love it. And then going back to what I said earlier, just, like, being a banquet captain, the banquets are picking up, too. And it's been nice being very busy. Yeah. Which has its faults because of what I said in the beginning, but still very great.
Yeah. Yeah, work. I finally went back to work, like I mentioned in the Pour One Out. So this month, the last 2 weeks have been the first time that I went to work since I've worked there for over a year.
Over a year now.
And I finally went back to work 2 weeks ago for 2 days a week, and now it'll turn into 3 days a week. And I like it, knowing that I only have to go a few days a week. And if this could be the schedule forever, whether it was 2 days a week or 3 days a week, I know that I would really love it. Yeah, I know. But, like,
but it'd be nice.
That would be so ideal. Like, it is a commute. I have an hour in the morning and about an hour and 20 minutes at night.
Yeah.
And so, like, obviously I'm gone a lot longer, but I really love being able to, like, talk to my coworkers, like, social interaction, being outside of my house. And the commute isn't bad when you have, like, podcasts or whatever.
Right.
And knowing that I don't have to do it every single day. So that's really nice.
Yeah.
I'm really not looking forward to having to wear a mask for 8 hours a day. I've never had to do it. Like, I know you did it at your work for maybe not 8, but a long period of time.
But yeah, for a long period of time.
Sure. I've never had to do it in this entire time because I worked from home the whole time.
Only when you chose to go out grocery shopping, or, like, that's it.
Right. Know? So, like, way shorter periods of time have I ever had to wear a mask.
Yeah.
And so I'm, like, really worried that I am going to feel out of breath, and, like, especially being pregnant, I already get out of breath because that's how the hormones work. And so I'm just, like, really nervous. And plus, I also have had really terrible acne from hormones. And so I'm just like, oh my God, I'm really nervous. I just don't want to do it. I don't want to do it at all. And, like, so the work topic, too. We also know we're going to do an episode about, like, working from home versus working in an office. We know that that's a topic that'll come up later for a whole episode.
I'm anxious to see how that's going to go for you.
Oh, I know what I was going to say.
How long it's going to last, like the time.
That was
days a week. Oh, okay.
That's what I was going to say.
Oh, okay.
So I was going to say that at the end of July, we have another staff meeting for all of our locations and everything coming back together, and we're going to find out what's next in August, because we still don't know, like...
It's the next step in this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because in the beginning of July, we were told by our CEO that, like, it's possible if everything is going smoothly that we could open up full time in August, but it also depends on COVID, and it depends on how everything's going and all of that. And especially with the fact that this week we went, essentially backwards, and we now have to wear masks full time again. In my head, it's like, if we have to wear masks full time and it's that dangerous, then we shouldn't be in the office.
Yeah.
If it's fine to be in the office, then that shouldn't be the case. So, like, and I don't really have an opinion on which one's right. Like, I don't personally think we should be wearing masks full time. I'm not worried about the Delta variant and everything. It seems like the hospitalizations and deaths aren't rising at the same rate that, like, just general, getting COVID is different than dying.
Right.
So, like, I don't know that I'm necessarily worried about it, but, like, if that's what the rules are, then we shouldn't be at home. We shouldn't be at work.
Yeah.
Yeah. If it's that dangerous,
you've been doing it for so long already. So, like, it doesn't make sense to what's their... I get they're itching to get back to normalcy, but, like, you've been doing it for so long. You might as well just stay.
Yeah.
If things are going
backwards.
Yeah,
exactly. Like, there are things that come with working in the office that makes life a little bit easier for the job that we do.
I get it.
There is some things that are easier to do, but overall, like, you can do the whole job at home, even though it's a little bit more difficult to deal with technology.
Yeah.
And sometimes technology can only do so much.
For you.
Yeah, so, like, there are reasons that makes it harder, but I don't know.
No, I get it.
I have opinions and I have feelings, and...
Because we all, yeah.
Yeah, in my head, if it's so dangerous that we're wearing masks full time again, then we shouldn't even be in the office, because we can do our work at home.
Right.
That's my opinion. So I'm really curious to see at the end of July what'll happen.
Right.
That's where we're at.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Still continuing a year later, going this podcast talking about the stupid pandemic and how things are going and how we don't know where things are going.
Exactly.
All right. Okay, so my brother has a girlfriend, everybody, which is really exciting and big for me because, like, I'm just my personality. Like, I love meeting new people. I want to be friends with everyone. Like, I'm just so, like, annoying sometimes. I'm just with my personality. I just really wanted him to have someone for me to have someone. And that's where we're at. So like a few months ago, he was like, I'm talking to someone, which is really big because my brother, his last serious girlfriend, because he was very, like head over heels, and, like, his first, like, real adult relationship. He's gonna turn 21 this year, but a real adult relationship, and it went really, like, good, but then ended just not bad, not like anything crazy, but just bad for him in a sense. And he was in a place in his life where, like, he just wasn't sure what he wanted to do and all that jazz. We all go through it, and just figuring out who he was. And so he called me. Talking to this girl, and I asked all the questions, like, where'd you meet her? Like, is this exciting? It's like, are you dating, or what's happening? And we talk about everything. We're super close, so he tells me all the things, and so he was like, no, we're actually dating, and it's going really good, all that stuff. Month goes by, and he's like, or maybe a month and a half, or whatever, calls me, okay, I have a girlfriend. I'm like, okay, is it the same girl? Like, are we making progress here? All that. He's like, no, it's the same girl. And then me being the nosy person that I am, I'm like, okay, give me Instagram, give me da-da-da, what's her name, all this stuff. And he's like, well, I actually don't think I asked for an Instagram, but in my head I did. I asked for, like, her name and, like, do the picture of her. Do you guys have a picture together? He's like, I don't have a picture of her, but we do have a video together that I'll send you. And so he sent me the video. Super cute. And then there's that. Next day, he calls me again, and he's like, so do you work tomorrow? I was like, yeah, I do. And he's like, okay, so I'm going to come in and eat. I'm like, okay. I still, in the moment, didn't think anything of it,
Yeah.
And then he's like, okay, it's going to be 4 of us. I'm like, oh, who are you with? My girlfriend. And I was like, this is how I'm going to meet her? I was so mad at him. I was like, I don't want to meet your girlfriend.
As your server.
As your server? Yeah. I want to be the sister who can relax and be annoying and ask her all the questions,
Yeah. And it's hard, like, when you're serving, even though it's kind of fun to have guests that you know, it's also really hard.
Really hard sometimes.
Yeah.
Agreed. And just that night, it was so, they came in, it was a Tuesday or Wednesday, so like a mellow-ish day, but like I said, we've been really busy, so it wasn't too mellow. And he comes in on a day, I had a party of 15 at the time. I had 2 extra tables. One of them was a 6-top and a 2-top, and they were my 4th table, which is a four-person table. And then also on top of that, I was training. I was like, hi, my name's Bayley. Nice to meet you. Perfect. What do you want? Like, it was just not the ideal situation. And she was so shy, and it was with her sister and then the sister's boyfriend. Really nice, like, group. Like, they were fine. We chatted, but, like, I was busy to where I was like, this isn't how I want to do this.
Yeah.
I was so mad
Have you met her, like, again?
I have not. So, I know Clay really wants to set up, like, a family dinner and her. So, like, mom, dad, me, brother, and then her. But I've been working 5 days a week, so the only days I can really do that right now are Sunday or Monday. And then I know the week after, like, that happened, they came in. She was on a vacation, so now it's just, she just got back.
Yeah,
like,
just
getting in the groove of that. So now we're just kind of waiting to see what will happen. But we are supposed to take a family Tahoe trip, and if Clay can go, which he's trying really hard to go, she'll go too.
Ooh,
which is, like,
so
also big because, like, you're going to bring her to introduce mom and dad and sister on a family trip where y'all will sleep I have questions for my mom and dad.
Oh, it's always different, okay? There is a significant difference between 1, the younger kid, and 2, the boy.
Yeah.
There is. It is a double standard on both parts. The younger the kid gets, the less rules there are. And
but
then,
then
on top
again,
of that,
he's a boy, so... I don't know.
There is differences. It's so annoying.
For sure.
My brother Zachary can do everything.
Yeah, same. Yep.
Yeah. He is... Okay, I'm not going to tell you how old he is, so you can infer if he's of age or not. But he's allowed to drink at our parties. They barely let me drink at our parties when I was 21 and older. Yeah. And it took a while.
You're girls.
And I'm the first too. And it took a while before they were, like, comfortable to have, like, if me and Matt were at the party or something, and we live 45 minutes away. So if Matt and I came to the party, it was, like, a while before we were allowed to sleep at the house in one bed. We would just choose not to sleep there. Then one of us would drive us home. Like, sober, obviously. Designated driver. It took a while. And now, well... So far, his girlfriend is not allowed to sleep at their house, but, like, there are stories, and I'm just like, this is not cool. This is not fair.
Yeah.
Like, how?
I'm upset. I know, same. It's the same thing to me. I mean, I think we've talked about it, too. Like, it's just, like, he comes home whenever he wants.
There's no
As long
nothing.
as there's texting, then he's good. I'm like... I texted, and then I got called and yelled at. Like, this isn't... No, there was no cool for me.
Yeah, and, like, to be fair, I mean... definitely my brother Zachary has lived at their house much longer than... I mean, I never actually lived at my dad's house, period.
Right.
Because divorced parents' life. And my mom did it differently. I did not really have a curfew. The second I got a car, pretty much that was the rule. Like, you need to let me know where you are and when you're coming home or if you're coming home. But, like, I was a good kid. They put a lot of trust in me. Yeah. My dad was not like that with Lauren, though. There was a curfew up until she left the house. Yeah. And to be fair, she left the house much earlier than Zachary did. So, like, maybe part of it is because Zachary is an adult and has been for longer than a minute. And Lauren wasn't. So, like, maybe that's part of it. But definitely part of it is not only the age, the kid level. Yeah. What am I trying to say? Which one they
like
are
they're
in the
person, like
1, 2, 3. He's the third. That's what I'm trying to say. I don't know how to say it.
Okay.
Plus, he's the boy.
Yeah,
so there's just a lot there.
Yeah, which is exactly. So that trip, I'm like,
I'm sure that'll happen.
what's gonna happen? Oh, yeah, and he's the youngest.
And he's the youngest.
I know. Very interesting.
Yeah. Speaking of kind of like life, whatever, kind of a transition, we're trying to get a house.
Yes.
Not to buy, but to rent. But I don't know if it's happening. Like, it's such a confusing thing, and it's actually really annoying. So okay. Let me just start at the beginning. So, it's the house directly across the street from my dad. It's also the house that my dad used to own and that I lived in. Well, again, divorced parents, but stayed in every other weekend until I was like 11.
Okay.
Not for beginning to 11, but part of the time until 11 when they bought the house across the street.
Yeah.
So, it's like very close, and that's, I mean, not my favorite thing. Like, there's definitely pros to that, and just, like, are there going to be any, like, boundary issues or whatever? So, like, it's kind of worrisome, but if we get it, we're going to take it.
Yeah.
And then also surreal to, like, be in the house that I grew up in as the adult in the house.
So you like weird. That?
No.
Or surreal really. In, like, a not good way?
I mean, I don't know. I don't know if it's going to be weird.
I would freaking love it. If I ever, it looks like crap now, but if I lived in the house, like, now as an adult that I grew up in, also, I think it's just, like, I love everything about that house. Like, growing up.
I think I would feel that way if we were talking about the house my dad lived in now. Because I feel like there's a lot more specific memories, like,
in the
positive, great, amazing, memories in that house that, like, if in the future that were to happen, I think I would feel similarly.
Okay, yeah.
In this house, I mean, there are memories there, but they're not very distinct. And I don't know, it's just, I don't know, is it weird to be, like, living in the same master bedroom that your parents were in at one point? Like, ew, I don't know. Like, if you think too hard about it, I don't know. I don't know if I like it. So, there's all this, like, back and forth because, my dad knows the owner. They're not, like, super friends or anything. They're acquaintances.
Super friends.
But my dad pretends that any acquaintance is his friend. So, he tells me that his friend is the owner of the house and that they're going to be getting new renters, so you should reach out. I have the hiccups. So I reach out to this guy, and I'm like, hi, I'm Kassie. I'm
so-and-so's daughter.
Yeah. And he does know who my dad is. Like, it was clear that he's like, oh, yeah, he lives across the street. Like, it's clear that he knows who he is.
Right.
But as I was talking to him that first time, it was also very clear that they're not, like, friends. They're just... He owns the house across the street. Obviously, neighbors. They talk.
And, yeah.
Yeah. So, I don't know. I don't know if that's necessarily relevant, but in my dad's view, because the way that he is very much like, if I was going to rent a house, I would want somebody I know in the house, quote unquote, know. So, in his mind, he's like, you or someone who is recommended should be the top priority because that's how he would do it. And I don't know this guy. I don't know if that's how he views things. And as the time has gone on since we've reached out to him, so the reason we don't know yet is because the renters don't move out until the end of August.
Okay.
So I don't know, basically.
We don't know where his mind is, what type of person he is.
Right. And, like, at this point, like, the housing market is so crazy for both the renting and the buying. It's really good for the person who owns the house, whether they're selling it or they're renting it. And there's a lot of stuff... not even talking about the owning and buying part, but the renters side of things. Like, a lot of people are getting into, like, renting wars where they're raising the price, like a bidding situation. There's people who are paying entire years worth of rent up front to try to get a house. Like, all this stuff is going on, right? So, like, in this owner's best interest, it would not be the smartest idea to rent to us.
Yeah.
It would... And not to say that he's going to offer us this, like, great deal. It's just a normal amount of rent. But, like, he could get a lot more potentially.
Right. It's in a nice area also. So, like, it's going to be a high demand for.
Right. And he is going to do some fixing up before we move in. If we move in. So, like, I mean, he could get he's in a great position.
Right,
We're not in a great position.
Right.
And we would not be willing to do one of those bidding wars and go up because
You're just going to put in your offer, and if he takes it, he takes it, and if he doesn't, just keep looking kind of thing.
Yeah. That offer that it's his asking price when we talked about it initially.
Okay.
Is already, like, higher than we would really love to go, but...
Only because of the situation... You just are trying
it. Yeah, we know that at the end of the day, it's going to be really hard to get a house right now.
Absolutely.
So this is basically the kind of the, like, if we get this house, awesome. If we don't, we're staying where we are.
Yeah. And this is your last straw.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And we know there's pros and cons to both positions. Like, we would not be saving as much money if we move in because, like I said, it's definitely higher than what we're paying now. It's like about $1,000 more than what we're paying right now. But for a 3-bedroom house in a neighborhood... A house with a backyard.
Parking, backyard.
All of it. Yeah, it has the 2-car garage. It has, obviously, laundry inside. Like, all of these things. Yeah. Whereas the 2-bedroom apartment we're in right now is on the 3rd floor. It's shared laundry downstairs. It's a parking garage with no storage. We have no storage in our apartment.
Right.
So we've done it before living with roommates, and we can definitely do it again having a baby in the house with splitting that room set up with... a whole another human is essentially what we're talking about. We can do it. It's just, what would I prefer to do? Obviously, live in a house.
Right.
There's also pros and cons in, like, the distance from my work, because Matt works from home indefinitely right now, so it's not a concern for him, but, like, it does change my commute a little bit.
Yeah.
Not by much, honestly, even though it's significantly more miles.
Right.
But I don't know. So there's, like, pros and cons to it, and we also, like I said, know that if we don't get this house, we're going to stay. And at this point, it's more of, like, I would really just love to know which one's happening so that I can prep mentally for, do I need to be moving this space around that I'm living in right now to accommodate
setting
a human?
up a room.
Or do I just want to wait because we're moving in 3 months anyways, or however long, and then we'll set it up there. Like,
right. You want to be prepared as possible, let alone for a human, but in the situation that you're in, you definitely want to be prepared.
Yeah, like, I just want to know.
Yeah.
So we've tried, the reason that it's so up in the air, too, is because obviously the renters don't move out for another month and a half, and then he wants to do some work on the house, so he knows he wants at least a month after that. So we're talking about late September at the earliest of moving in.
Right.
And we've attempted at this point to kind of ask, like, can we put a deposit down? And he didn't respond, which is the first time that's ever happened, and who knows, it was 4th of July weekend, maybe he saw it early and then went back to sleep or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
It could have easily been one of those cases.
And,
where it wasn't like, oh, I'm not going to respond to that. So I don't know what happened with that, and I'm just like, I just want to know. Please tell me.
I know.
So that's the situation.
Hopefully he reaches out soon.
Yeah.
If not, I feel like don't reach out again and just, like, let it be.
I'm thinking that, like, in August sometime, I will call him rather than text him again.
Okay, that's a good call.
Because...
I'm so freaking lame. Anyways.
I do want to reach out again to see. I feel like leaving it unanswered is not a good choice. I want... If he's
you want the closure,
that he doesn't want it, then
if
I
it
just
is
want
the
to know
no.
that. Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But I do want to call him because I feel like it's also the respectful thing to do. I don't know, older generations.
Adulty thing to do. Yeah, or not adult. Yeah, the old because. Yeah. Newer generations. Like the TikTok Sierra sent us this morning. Really recap. It was a TikTok of like a kid saying like the tooth fairy forgot to leave money under my pillow or whatever, and the mom's like checking the pillow and like stuffing money in there. Are you sure? Like what's happening? And then like nowadays it's like the kid comes downstairs, the tooth fairy forgot, and then the mom's like texting on her phone during it, or not texting, but it's like, are you sure? And like Venmoing the kid at the same time.
I hate it.
I hated it too. It made me gag a little bit. Anyways. Okay. We are, we've officially decided, well, I guess kind of officially, kind of not, but we've decided to take the next step into being interested to put Amy in pre-K, because I know for a while we were like, okay, no, we don't want to do that. We'll just straight put her in kindergarten when time comes, and I think the pandemic definitely pushed that in our mind more than trying to push her going in.
Right.
And she's never been in that type of environment and like setting, like a daycare setting or anything like that, so like that was already like another thing like pushing me away from that. But I mean, there's no prolonging it. She's got to be in school sometime, so I don't want to start her off like in school where she should be solely paying attention to school work and stuff like that. So I want her to go and start doing that. So
yeah, and socialization, getting used to it and everything.
Exactly. So we actually have an interview for a tour to go to one of the Christian, like the church, but has a schooling program for pre-K, K, and I think, and then a daycare program, and I think that's it. But so I'm really interested in that, and I want to get her started. I think it's elementary school too, but I really want to get her started in that. So we're going to do a tour and see how that goes. And I'm nervous because I'm like just nervous, not for me as a mom. I'm nervous for my daughter because she's wild.
Oh, you're worried she'll get in trouble. But that's probably a good thing for her to go.
I know. And see, that's what I mean. That's why I want her to do, I want to do this now rather than skip pre-K and put her in kindergarten. Well, yeah, they still have fun and interact and social, but like it's less learning and it's less like homework, I guess you could say. And I don't know. I just need the prep. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Like get her used to what a classroom setting is like.
The setting and the environment of it. Yeah, I know. So I'm excited. So it'll be in a couple Mondays. I think like on the 26th or something. That's in a couple Mondays, and then.
Do you know if it's expensive?
I don't know. The pricing is not online, so I know that it will be, obviously, because one, it's private, obviously being a church, and it's a church. So it's just, it's gonna be a little more
so that's like also a thing. Yeah,
and because it's like pre-K, not necessarily 1 through 5th, it's gonna be extra pricey. Because one, you don't pay for your kid to go to elementary school,
right?
You know, well, if you go to a private, right, absolutely, but public, which I've never thought about private or public. I always went to public school, so I don't have a problem with that. And I've never thought that my kids would go to a private school, but I really like the idea of a church. And this church that we have right here is the church that we watch every Sunday, and so I really like the setting and vibe of it. But also why we're getting a tour, because I don't actually know. So,
okay, gotcha.
Because we moved here during the pandemic, right? I know. So we'll see. We'll keep our mind open, because right now it's really our only option. So.
Are you considering pre-K at the school? Like at a public school? At a public
school? Haven't looked into it yet. The two pre-Ks that I've looked into are both private.
Okay.
The other one was not necessarily too pricey, but I liked the church aspect part of it a little bit more. So I chose this one, and then depending on the pricing, I think then we'll obviously look at public schooling.
Because I don't know about this school district, but the one that I grew up in, it has a pre-K program that is still free, and it is still play-based, and also that school district kindergarten's more play-based too.
Right.
And so it's like 2 levels of transition to get them ready for a school. Yeah, school and settings, I think pre-K and kindergarten there is like only half day. Pre-K is even shorter than kindergarten, but then they also have a daycare that's included.
Okay.
And so I know that the daycare part, the pre-K is free, but the daycare part of it is sliding scale, basically. So you can qualify depending on whatever finances you have for completely free or whatever. And like give you an idea of what the sliding scale is. My mom still gets it for free.
Okay.
And she's got a good job.
Okay. Well, that's nice to know. Not that,
so I don't know what this school district is. Yeah. What they have.
I know. I'm anxious. Like I said, I think we're gonna do this. This is our first step in, because up until now we've been like, nah, I'm good. Nah, I'll homeschool. But like this is our first step. So I think this is getting our toes in, seeing what it's like, and then we'll kind of go from there.
Cool.
So, I know. So I'm anxious.
Yeah.
I'm excited though, because that means I get some me time and then mommy and son time now that I have another kid, and like then so that's exciting.
Yeah. Matt and I, during the 4th of July weekend, when we had all of the neighbors like talking to us about babies and whatever, one of the questions immediately was public or private. Both me and Matt were like, public. We're not paying for school. But why are we thinking about it right now?
Why are we thinking about this right now? Why are you stressing the mom to be out more than she needs to be?
I was like, no. We're not paying for anything that can be free.
One word answer, public. Don't ask me any more questions like that.
But that's a good transition to one of my topics, because speaking of schools, exams. Okay, so interpreting. Interpreting is a really weird profession. So basically you go to school for interpreting, and you graduate a program. It's called an ITP, Interpreting Training Program.
Mm-hmm.
And you sometimes can get hired with just that. Usually businesses, or they're called agencies, that allow you to get hired with just that will have an internal qualification exam.
For you to, like, go up with the company?
For you to get hired.
Ooh, okay, got it.
Like, you need to be good enough to
be
on our payroll, which is a good thing. You should be good enough, because a lot of people will call themselves interpreters and not be able to interpret.
Oh, shoot.
So that's partially why. So anyways, a lot of agencies, some agencies do that. And then there's a bunch of different other, like, qualification exams that you can take. So there's one called the EIPA, which is educational based. It's educational interpreting something assessment. I don't remember what the P stands for. And then there's RID, which is also called Kassie. It's basically national versus state. They're the same thing. And that one, there's 2 exams in it. There's a written one where you, like, answer scenario questions in an essay format.
Okay.
And then once you take that, if you pass it, then you have 5 years to take the performance exam, which is where you do it.
Actually do
the
it
interpretation.
live. Okay, got it.
So, I really would like to take the EIPA before I have an infant, really by the end of this year. Like, by the new year, I want to have taken it and hopefully passed it, but we'll see.
Yeah.
And then if I do not pass it, I want to also take the written exam of the Kassie by the end of the year.
Okay, 2 goals, got it.
So, it's already July. So I'm really stressed.
What kind of prepping do you personally, not like in everyone, but what do you need to do for yourself that you're stressing out about?
I do work with a mentor, so I pay somebody who's been interpreting for many years, and who I met through my ITP program.
Okay.
I pay her twice a month she assigns me something and I interpret it, and then I send it back, and then we meet the following week, and then we talk about what I need to work on.
Okay.
And how I'm improving or not improving on whatever. So we do that. And we took a break when I found out I was pregnant and everything. And Hedwig also died, which I did not talk about this in this episode, but my cat died. It was very sad. So when he died, it was also the same weekend, basically, that I found out I was pregnant. And
God, so many feelings.
So yeah, so when all of that happened, I told my mentor that I needed to take like a month off at least. So we took that month of June off, and then the early July we met up, and when I talked to her, I said, this is my plan. I want to take these 2 exams, potentially 2, maybe just 1, depending on how it goes.
Okay.
I want to take these by the end of the year, so can you please help me? She has like a library of interpreting books and stuff to help with studying for them, and I was like, can you please
give you goals and stuff. Yeah.
So I was like, can you please point me to some good books in your library that would be useful to prepare for these? And so I took it's like a DVD of practice exams for the Kassie, so that's the other one, the second one.
Written one that you want to take.
The performance part.
Okay,
but yes,
got it.
Yes. So she gave me a test for that, which is, I mean, the EIPA is also performance-based, so, like, it would be good practice. But the difference between EIPA and Kassie is just that Kassie is more generalized, whereas EIPA is specifically K through 12 based.
Okay, got it.
So it's just a different, like, focus.
Okay, got it.
So she gave me that DVD, not to keep, but to borrow. And then she gave me a, like, deaf children, working with deaf children, which would be great for the EIPA book. And then she gave me this book that a lot of interpreters have, which is called 1001 Interpreting Scenarios, which is helpful for the written exam and helpful to kind of get an idea. The EIPA doesn't have a written format, but, like, the performance test is based on scenarios.
Okay, got it.
So it has 1001 different interpreting scenarios that you kind of, like, you read through the scenario, and then it's good practice for that written one to, like, because that's basically what that written one is they'll give you a scenario, and then you have to answer how you would react in that scenario.
Okay, got it.
So I'm prepping in that form. I haven't, like, I just got them last week, so that's something that I'm doing, and it's weird because these exams, like, they don't have, I mean, you have the ITP program, obviously.
Right. That
I finished and graduated from, but they don't really have, like, here's how to practice for this exam.
For specifics.
What?
Okay.
I don't understand.
Kind of like thinking when you take your what is that test in high school?
Kassie?
Nope.
SAT.
SAT. When you take your SAT, they literally have prep books for SAT.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
You don't have that, so
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, so the Kassie website, and I think maybe the EIP website does, they do have a practice test you can take, but it's literally 20 questions. Like, it's not big. It's not long. It is not enough.
Not helpful at all.
Yeah, and it's the same 20 questions, so, like, if you take it enough times, you're going to memorize
Right.
it. So that's not useful either in the grand scheme of practice exams.
Mm-hmm.
It's driving me crazy.
So
I kind of am feeling like I'm just, like, floating, even though I'm doing all the right things. Like, I've talked to a few different interpreters of, you know, what should I be doing, and I'm doing the right things. Like, I'm prepping correctly, but, like, at the same time, you don't feel like...
You feel like you're just stuck. You feel like you're not making progress.
Yeah, I'm like, what am I even looking for? I don't know. So, stressful.
Yeah. Oh, okay, so by the end of the year...
I want to take them and hopefully have passed one. If you fail, what is your time span to take it again? So
do you know?
That's really dependent if I fail both of them and, like, don't have anything under my belt, right?
Okay, sure, yeah.
So if I failed the EIPA and then took the written exam and passed it, then I probably wouldn't go back to the EIPA anytime. I don't have as a short of a time span.
Okay, got it.
Because with the written Kassie, if I pass that means that I could use that to help get jobs.
Further.
And I could start transitioning after the baby comes and I'm done with break. Then the next step would be, using either the EIPA or that written exam to start working to transition into interpreting positions.
Okay, got it.
If I do not pass either of them, then I don't know exactly what my timeline is because I think it really depends on how the having a baby thing happens.
Okay, yeah.
Because, like, I don't want to give myself an unrealistic timeline of, like, hey, I had an infant and also need to re-study for these exams and figure all of this out, all while maybe going back to work. That just sounds like too much. So I'm kind of giving myself some grace in, like, well, we'll see how the transition of having a newborn is, and we'll see how the transition of going back to work is, and then once those two things are calm and I'm used to those two things, then the next step would be, okay, I need to start working on this again.
Got it. Okay.
So it's kind of up in the air. But maybe by the end of 2022 would be, I think, a feasible thing to say.
Okay, yeah.
I just don't know if I would scoot that up sooner than that.
Right.
It's also a financial issue because the EIPA and the written Kassie are both pretty expensive exams.
Right.
The one is like $300 and the other one is like almost $500. So then having an infant and, like, obviously
you should just set aside that money now so that you
have
it.
I do have it.
Okay.
For those two exams.
Specifically.
But, like, if I had to take them again.
Yeah.
When I've taken 3 months off of work.
And you have a newborn and all the things and diapers and da-da-da. Yeah. Okay, I get that.
That's why I'm also like, I don't know if I'll be jumping at the bit to take it again.
It's okay, you're gonna pass it.
Right. I'm gonna pass it.
She is. When you pass it.
When is good.
I love that.
Okay, last topic for you.
Last topic for me. Last topic for me is really simple, that we have new neighbors across the street, directly across from us, and we have not interacted with them yet.
Oh.
I don't know, their move-in process was really weird. Like, we know exactly when they got their keys because we talked to Claire and Chris, the previous owners. And, we're all really nosy around here. And so we know exactly when they got it, and then they weren't here that weekend. And then the following weekend, they weren't here all week, which, okay, work week, it is what it is, And then all that week they didn't show. Then the next weekend they showed up on one day with a big U-Haul, like the size of our U-Haul that we moved in. And they, like, were here for, like, 30 minutes. Because I remember when they pulled in, I was leaving. And then I was only going to the grocery store for about that time, 30 minutes, maybe 45. I pulled in, and then they were pulling away. I'm like, I'm sorry, what? There was not a lot of cars and people here helping them. There was only the people that lived there, which is...
Like 4 people, I think?
Yeah.
All adults?
So, yeah, it's
so
two brothers. They're both teachers. I am nosy. And I haven't even talked to them. How do I know this information? Yeah, it's two brothers. One of them has a fiance or girlfriend and fiance, and then it's their parents that live in the back house. So it's just, I don't know. But we barely see them.
Mm-hmm.
Their cars are never, like, not always here. Sometimes there's no cars there, but there's still someone in the house. But, like, they barely ever come out. It's just
weird.
I don't know.
Makes you curious. Like, do they have another house? Are you living in two places?
Yeah. Are you living, or are we, because we didn't fully move stuff in here, are we planning on renting this place? Like,
maybe.
What's your thought process here?
Yeah, maybe.
But I don't,
or are you, like, Airbnb-ing it? This is a weird place to be an Airbnb.
This is, yeah. I don't know. My parents also live in a weird place to be an Airbnb, and the house next to them is an Airbnb, and it's really weird. They get there's a lot of traffic there also.
They're really close to a lot of, like, tourist places, though.
I guess so. I don't know. I'm just not over there enough.
Yeah.
I guess you could say. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't really.
Whereas this area, there's
nothing.
anything to be an Airbnb. That would not make any sense.
It's like a drive to go somewhere.
Yeah.
When are you going to go to Castle Park right here? It makes zero sense.
No. Yeah. Weird.
Anyways,
interesting. I wonder when you'll meet them.
That's just my small... I know. Actually, Andre, this morning, we were sitting on the rocking chairs. He was like, we should go introduce ourselves. I was like, no. He was like, everyone else introduced themselves to us when we moved in. I was like, that's great.
We're not doing
I love them for that. I'm not doing that. I don't know, which is weird because I am a friendly, outgoing person, but it's two brothers. I think it'd be different if it was like a husband and wife and like that's it. It's just two brothers and their parents. And I just feel weird.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. It's weird.
Yeah.
Weird situation. Yeah. Who knows?
That's it. That's my story.
Maybe eventually you guys will get along really great and it'll be like, oh my gosh.
Right?
Best friends.
So it's a Mexican family. So we're about to have a really big party soon here in October for Isaiah's baptism. But obviously we're going to have a mariachi band and like all the things. And it's going to be so much fun. And we're going to be loud.
Well, and you guys have neighbors that are loud too.
We only have this one, and they've actually been very quiet for a long time. I think they had their like first party in a while a few weekends ago. And then so this is Chris and Claire, that's Amanda and Mike, and then the house next to Amanda and Mike, they have a lot of parties.
Yeah.
They had one last night. I always pull up with like 11 and it's raving over there. But that's across the street from us. And there are, but I mean, yeah, they go all out. And so it's funny that you mentioned that though, because Andre was like, should we like warn all of our neighbors? I was like, get out of town. No. We're so quiet. We do literally nothing.
Yeah.
If we do something, it's during the day. Yeah. This is our first thing during the night. No, we're good. We're good.
And you're not the only ones who
and we're not the only ones.
So it's fine.
So, anyways, that's my story. That's my last story.
Yeah. My last one, I'm going to combine these two, is just that it's kind of related back to the beginning of pregnancy and everything. I just, like, haven't been reading at all. At all. Haven't been listening to audiobooks. Haven't been reading. I've read 100 pages of Twilight in 3 months. What? And I also haven't been making YouTube videos.
Well, because it's associated together, though.
I mean, pretty much. Yeah, pretty much. It is very... Because I make videos mostly about books, it's hard to make videos
about
when I'm not reading.
Right.
It's very, like, what the hell do I make a video about? I don't know. I
mean, what do I do with my hands?
Yeah, I, like, used to make videos that weren't book-related, but now it's pretty much just that. And then every once in a while I throw something like life in, like I made the video yesterday of telling everyone I'm pregnant. But, like, I don't know. It's such a bizarre thing. I thought, this is another thing that just, like, is so different than what I anticipated, because in my head, I was like, great, I'm pregnant. This is, like, the last 9 months before I have, like, a really long break of being able to read for myself. And I do think that I'll be able to read in the future, but, like, obviously I know that your life significantly changes when you have an infant, so, like, time and getting used to having one and all of that is gonna be different. So in my head, I was like, oh, I gotta get all of the reading done before I have a baby.
And here you are not reading
and then
before the baby.
The thing is, it's so weird because for the most part, it's like, I'm just not interested in whatever I'm reading, so then I, like, stop reading it in 2 minutes. And so then you would think it's like, okay, well, I am completely just engrossed in baby-related content, but what I've noticed is, like, I'm watching a lot of vlogs of people who are also pregnant right now, who have babies right now, watching a lot of vlogs like that, and then but not reading anything, really.
Right.
And then
you're listening to stories.
Yeah, so I'm, like, doing that. And then the other thing that I've just... Why is true crime, which I've always loved true crime. But why is that where my brain is
Wants to be right now? No thanks, I've cut that from my life.
No.
Maybe you'll realize, maybe you won't. I
don't know, but I specifically remember the first thing that I was like, I don't feel like listening to an audiobook. I don't know what I want to listen to. I'm kind of listening to some music, like, I'm a musical theater person, so not, like, popular music, but I do listen to some musical theater in the car and whatever. But I remember very early in the pregnancy, I was less than 8 weeks for sure. I hadn't had my ultrasound yet or anything. Start listening to this podcast. True crime podcast.
Let me tell you right now, if you say something about a darn kid, I'm going to be upset with you.
Well, okay. No. So the topic was people who have been pregnant, who were pregnant and the baby was taken from their body. That was the topic.
Wow,
I
literally didn't hear that. I'm very proud of myself.
Okay, I'm not going to repeat it, but it was about that. And then, so I listened to this whole podcast that has they do...
Like a part 1, part 2? Or?
They always do 2 cases that are the same topic. So it was...
Disgusting. Okay,
2 cases about this. And then... After I finished that, I also have been obsessed with this YouTube channel called, her name's Bayley, Bayley Sarian, and she makes true crime episodes while she puts on her makeup. It's Murder Mondays, whatever. So, the episode that came out, or that I, like, found that same day, I listened to this podcast, finished it, that was really gruesome, and I'm insane for listening to that, can't believe I did it, that was a lot. And then I find her episode, and it was the same case. It was one of the same cases about obviously the same topic. I still listen to the entire thing because it's always interesting. And I'm like, why am I doing this to myself?
Done.
But, like, I didn't have nightmares about it.
Oh, my God. When I listen to this episode of Us, I got to remember this episode because I'm going to be mad if I'm really, really surprised.
Yeah, that's what it was about. So I've been listening to a lot of true crime, and I love it. And I don't know if it'll change. I don't know what's going on. And I also was thinking about, like, is this what I'm going to listen to when I have my infant in the backseat?
Oh, gosh. No, don't do that to your poor kid.
Like, I was thinking about that, and then I was also listening a few days ago to the Rent soundtrack, which is an amazing soundtrack. Love it till my dying day. But it's all about heroin, sex, HIV.
Hello!
That's what it's about. Like, that's what the play is about. And so I'm, like, bopping along to this song called La Vie Bohème, where it's just so many words. It's a very, like, wordy song, and all of the words...
Are bad. Just say that.
Are inappropriate.
Okay, thank you.
And so I'm, like, bopping along to it, and I'm like, oh my gosh, my baby's gonna come out loving musical theater. And then I was like...
Oh my God, my baby's gonna come out loving the bad.
My baby's gonna come out, like, start singing, like, and people will be like, oh my God, what are they singing? It's just...
you should make a TikTok page solely based off your kid and what they sing.
Oh yeah,
and
hell
it's
yeah.
gonna be.
Well, and like the other day, you were talking about Amelia had watched what's that movie? Luca, and she started calling everything stupido.
And she still does, and it's annoying.
And so then I laughed really hard at this story that Bailey told me, and she was like, that's not nice, why are you laughing? And I was like, you're gonna laugh when one day my kid is like saying, you little fucker, to Padfoot.
And that'll be the exact word. Yep. Mm-hmm. Which she's right.
Like,
anyways, I'm just not a fan. I'm not a fan of it because there was no, like, repercussion to it in the movie. It was like, everyone would just laugh, and that was it. There was no, like... No, we don't do that. You know what I mean? Which, whatever. But, like, no, we don't do that. So, I'm still mad. And we haven't seen it since about 3 weeks ago.
Makes me funny. It makes me laugh, too, because, like, I probably am going to laugh when my kid says something.
I mean, I did. It was a good laugh, but I laughed behind her back, and then I was like, okay, we do not say that kind of thing. But
yeah,
that's
life.
It.
So that's our catch-up episode.
Yeah, 2 hours later. Thanks for playing, folks.
Yeah, it was a long one. It was a long one, but you needed to be caught up on a lot of stuff. So.
Yeah.
Yeah. So our next episode, I mean, hopefully will be in 2 weeks from when this episode is posted.
Yes.
In theory, we will be back on our normal schedule, hopefully.
Bi-weekly. Mm-hmm.
And the next episode is going to be all about your birth.
Labor and
Isaiah.
delivery.
Mm-hmm.
I know. I'm really excited about this one because I was, and here to laugh at me, but like I was in the hospital going through everything, and I did really good about keeping people updated on Instagram. I was amazing at it, and it was just, we vlogged everything too, and then I also at the same time was like taking notes on my phone. Like I have a note page of Isaiah, and it's just like when I got induced, when this happened, when that happened.
Yeah.
And I'm very proud, and I needed that because just every time I listen back on the Amelia labor and delivery, I'm just so irritated by how the situation is. But that's because,
but it was also years later.
It was years later that we started the podcast, so it's just, anyways, I'm excited. Poor Amelia, got a shitty story.
It's okay. It's still her story.
I know. No, it's okay.
Fine.
All right. Well, I'm glad that
we didn't do a quote.
No, that's okay. Who needs those?
It's a long episode. We won't do a quote today.
Yeah, I know.
Make sure that if you're watching this on YouTube to hit that subscribe button and click like. If you're listening on Apple Podcasts or anywhere else, you can also subscribe. And on Apple Podcasts, make sure to leave us a review because it really helps out. We make videos every other Monday, in theory.
That is the goal.
That's the goal.
You know, mom of two and a mom-to-be, and things are just rough.
Things might change. We don't know. If you have any topic suggestions or things like that, feel free to either comment, or we do have Twitter, Instagram, all that good stuff linked down below as well. And also our personal accounts are down there too, if you want to keep an eye out and see more of Isaiah and also see Amelia on there. Yeah, that's everything. Now we can cheers.
Now we can do this again.